Not feeling the mojo. Not feeling it. Can't really get the light in there. Find my notes. This is a tough one. I've put off doing this one for a whole week, but we're going to do it anyway, because we got to be getting out of auto. Welcome back to the Getting Out of Auto series. My name's Andrew, and today it's all about white balance. It's going to be a problem for some of you, and for others, it's not even going to feature. What is white balance? White balance is saying to your camera, here's an image. It's saying to your camera, here's an image. This point right here should be mapped to dead white. White balance is really a calibration step. It's telling your camera, this is how to alter the image that I'm taking to make white in the image match white in real life. If you're in an environment where there's a bit of a color cast, or maybe you're outside and the sun's just setting, the lighting is going to change how white appears to you. It's happening right now. We're underneath a light and I know the value of the color temperature of that light, and it's going to be affecting how you see this white shirt right here. Kind of white shirt. Could have picked a better shirt. And by setting the white balance, I'm telling my camera, shift all the color values one way or another, either towards blue or towards yellow. If we're doing temperature, if we're doing tint and getting really fancy, we're telling it to go towards green or towards magenta. But for some of you, it's going to be way more important than the others of you watching. Who are those people? Those people shooting in RAW. You're not going to give much of a crap about white balance, because you're going to have that ability to change white balance very dramatically in your editing. That sort of capability is not going to be there if you're just shooting in JPEGs. JPEGs will not allow that sort of wide swing. JPEGs don't allow for that wild swing in editing, whereas RAWs absolutely do. On the other side of the spectrum, if you're a happy snapper out there taking JPEGs, maybe on your phone or just holiday snaps, white balance now might be quite important to you, especially if you're shooting something that has white t-shirts or skin tones. Skin tones are massively affected by white balance. You're going to want to make sure that you've picked the right setting. Now, is the right setting also like it was with autofocus in the very last episode? No. Not this time, Chief. And why is that? If you go into your camera roll on your phone and you've not changed it out of auto white balance, you can scroll back through and you'll see image to image slight variations in the temperature of the image, or maybe even the tint slightly. You're going to notice that mostly on white t-shirts again, and on skin, maybe the sky, maybe there's some concrete buildings. All of a sudden they're looking bluer, they're looking greener, they're looking yellower, they're looking pinker. That's because you're in auto white balance. And at each photo, your camera was deciding, oh, this is what it should be. It's making a guess, it's making a very good educated guess, but it's changing from image to image. If you want a nice set of photos from a trip away, you're going to want to make sure that the white balance is matched between each one. That doesn't mean changing it for each photo, that means keep it consistent all the way through. So there's no wild changes to blue, back to yellow, to blue, back to yellow. You don't want that. So what setting should we throw it in? I'm going to be telling you it's going to be either the cloudy and overshaft setting, overshaft. I'll leave mine in cloudy, which gives it a little bump towards the yellow section, or in shade, which boosts it a little bit further again into the yellow zone. Just adding that little bit of sauce on those sunset shots and into those skin tones. When it comes to white balance, that's something that I'm setting as soon as I get out the car or as soon as I arrive where I want to be taking some photos. It's not something that I'm evaluating before each and every shot. It's not going to be entering the same sort of realm of constant tweaking like it would be if it's part of the exposure triangle. It's a way for me of calibrating all the photos that are going to proceed from that point and just trying to get them into the zone of where I want the photos to be before I get home and start editing them. And think about it when you're shooting JPEGs as you setting up those sliders in your favorite editing program before you take the shot. The more you can do to get it perfect in camera in the style that you want, the easier it's going to be overall. Does that mean if you're shooting in RAW, you can just leave that white balance on auto? For me, I'd still leave it in cloudy or in shade. Just so if something goes absolutely wrong, and for some reason I'm out and about shooting one day, I've done something wacky on the photo, I've done something wacky on the back of the camera and I'm shooting JPEGs all day, I know that the white balance is going to be somewhere right. Another thing to touch on is if you're using several different cameras for the same project, you're going to want to match the white balance of each camera to each other. That way you're not going to have one set of images from one camera that look really blue and another set that look extremely yellow. This is where I'd use a custom profile and just pick a number that looks great for that scene and apply it on both cameras. So there it is, white balance is something to be mindful about, especially if you're shooting in JPEG. If you're in RAW, I'll still have a look at it because it means that you'll have to do a lot less tweaking of those white balance sliders when you're editing your photos. Again, don't be changing it from photo to photo, maybe scene to scene if you have to. Because at the end of the day, you want to have a nice set of images that all relate to each other. And if you're a portrait shooter, you might want to be casting a much keener eye over the white balance in your images, maybe even setting your own custom profile for it. But there it is. Another one in the Getting Out of Auto series ticked off. I hope you enjoyed that, I hope you learned something, and I hope it makes a difference in your photography. If you enjoyed that one and like to see some others, like button and subscribe down below. And if you've got any suggestions for further Getting Out of Autos, and if you've got any suggestions for settings that you'd like me to go through in this Getting Out of Auto series, please leave them as a comment. But for now, my name's Andrew. Go and get those homologous white balances. But for now, my name's Andrew. Thanks for watching. Fuck. I feel like I have the idea in my brain of what I want to say. I start saying it and we just finish somewhere completely different. Look at this. Wow, this filter is filthy. Next up in the Getting Out of Auto series, clean your kit. God, disgusting.